Yo, Benny! I don't think he's home, man. Benny, man, yo. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm MC Savant from the Cankersaurs. You can catch me on funnyordie.com/Cankersaurs, K-A-N-K-S-O-R-Z, you know what I'm saying? But right now, it's all about Benny TV. Yo, because my boy Benny the Gagoots got his own show. And I just want to give a big shout out to Benny. And in honor of that, I'm going to do a dope-ass freestyle, man. So he's got to figure out what rhymes with Benny. 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 What rhymes with Benny? Benny. What rhymes with Benny? Benny. He's in the Serengeti. He's hunting for a Yeti and he's always on the ready. And Benny's always merry when he's eating his spaghetti. But right now he's in the desert, so his palms are kind of sweaty. His good friend Freddie, he brought him that Ben and Jerry. And Yetis, they love the Ben and Jerry. So Benny caught that Yeti and we all threw confetti. Yeah, Benny. Benny TV, baby.
All right. Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Joey Pajamas. Welcome to Pajama Hour. We got to talk about a lot of kinds of pajamas today. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm back. Ryan Rizzuti, you don't need these because I'm the only one here today. That's it. Ryan Rizzuti take over, Benny TV. We back. 2K19. Today's going to be my airing of the grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. In actuality, I have a lot to talk about. I've been gone. As you may have watched on the past two shows with my dad. If you didn't watch the show while I wasn't here, you're a bad person. You should go back and watch them. I was in South America looking for the world's first comic book shop, which is what I told my dad. In actuality, I was in winter break, baby! Woo! Party time! I was on a boat the whole time. I didn't almost drop my mic. You almost dropped your mic. It was a fun time, but I'm back now. I watched a lot of movies, watched a lot of shows. I got a lot to talk about. First things first, you thought I was going to talk about the Oscars first. You were wrong. The Baseball Hall of Fame inductions just came out. I'm very excited to say that Mariano Rivera is the first baseball player to ever get a unanimous induction to the Hall of Fame. But that's not what has me really amped. What has me amped is the pitcher I've seen the most out of any pitcher I've ever seen in my entire life. My second favorite pitcher next to Mariano, the person who I never thought would make it into the Hall of Fame, Mike Mussina, got inducted today. Mike Mussina, Moose, with 76%. You need 75% of the vote to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. He got the 1% extra he needed. He just made it. With my dad, I've seen Mike Mussina pitch more times than any pitcher I've ever seen. I've gone to a lot of Yankee games. I'm a diehard Yankee fan. For those who don't know, I hate Aaron Boone. Mike Mussina is one of the greatest, most underrated pitchers of his era. And I've been saying for a very long time he deserved, beyond almost any pitcher, to be in the Hall of Fame because he was a pitcher in the steroid era that was never any talk of steroids, and he was also the best fielding pitcher of his era. And he was a strong pitcher. I always loved every game I watched with Mike Mussina, every game I went to. He was one of the most dependable pitchers I've ever seen. He was the oldest pitcher to have a 20-win season. Like the first time, he was, I think, 39 years old. He had 270 wins. If he went two more seasons at least, he would have hit 300 wins and decided not to. Which was also a shame because the next year, the year after he retires, when the Yankees won the World Series, so he would have finally gotten his ring too. But he said he has no regrets. He's very happy with his life. He also played for the Baltimore Orioles. He was one of my favorite pitchers of all time, Mike Mussina. And Mariano Rivera, who is my favorite pitcher of all time. But everyone's going to talk about Mariano Rivera. I wanted to spend some time talking about how much I love Mike Mussina. I'm going to just periodically throughout the show bring up that Mike Mussina's in the Hall of Fame, because it just gets me so jacked. I don't even really need the coffee today. Like, I got the coffee, but when I was in my car, I was taking a nap before the show started, I saw Mike Mussina, and I literally jumped up and down, screaming about Mike Mussina. And it got me so excited, because I love Mike Mussina. Thank you for watching, Anthony. And I know Anthony's watching. I know Zach's watching. I know America's watching. I got a lot of things to talk about. I just really wanted to talk baseball right off the bat. So let's talk let's talk movies. As a lot of people know, that's something we talk about here on the show. We like to talk movies. If I don't answer on the chat right now, it's because I'm going through a list of movies that I've seen since I've seen you. So I have a lot of stuff that I've seen. I saw a couple of the films nominated for Best Picture. The Oscar nominees did come out. And yes, Black Panther did get nominated for Best Picture. I'm very excited about that. A lot of good movies got nominated this year. I'm a big fan of Green Book. Green Book was nominated. Black Klansman, a film that I absolutely adore, was nominated for Best Picture, along with Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a great film. Star is Born, which I'm also a big fan of. And Vice, which I got to see for the first time last night. And I can say I very much enjoy Vice. Vice is Christian Bale's film, directed by Adam McKay, the Dick Cheney biopic, as most people know it. Also, I have this donut here. I'm going to eat it, but you don't know when, so stay tuned. And it has nothing to do with anything. I just want this donut. And I'm like, yeah, let's eat the donut while I'm talking. Why not? I got coffee, the coffee break, donut break, talking more movies. But Vice was a film I very much enjoyed. It's not for everyone. If you're interested in politics, if you're interested in Dick Cheney, if you like Christian Bale, if you like Adam McKay, I would recommend it. It's similar in tone and style to The Big Short. I would say The Big Short's a better film, though. Personally, I think it's better constructed, and it pulls less. Even though I don't really think Vice pulls punches, I think it's a much harder of a hit. The Big Short, they hit people harder. I don't really think they pull punches on Dick Cheney, but I don't think they go as harsh as they could have. But overall, I think it's a very enjoyable film, and I would recommend going to see it. Is it the film I think will win Best Picture? No, I'm not entirely sure what will win Best Picture. Personally, out of all of them, I would really like Black Klansman, because I think it's about time Spike Lee wins an Academy Award for Best Picture, and he's also nominated for directing for the first time, and I think he deserves it because Do the Right Thing didn't win, and Black Klansman is probably his best film since Do the Right Thing. It might be better than Do the Right Thing as an overall film. But they're very different. They're very different movies, so they're very hard to compare. Other films that I've watched recently, I finally got to see the film Searching, which is the John Cho starring film, which all takes place on a computer screen. The entire film is in a computer screen, and it's about a man's missing daughter and his search to find her. I'm not even going to pull any punches with this one. Absolutely adored it. It's a great thriller that uses the premise and the style of the film in exponentially amazing ways and shows that there's a future to doing a film in this kind of style. So I would highly recommend Searching. Definitely say it's on iTunes. It's on digital now. Highly recommend renting it, finding it off the street from a homeless guy, Redbox, whatever you want to do. I would highly recommend watching that film. Oscar-wise, there's only one film that I think got snubbed, and that's in the Best Documentary category, because I saw two documentaries this year that were by far two of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my entire life. One of them is the best documentary I've ever seen, in my opinion. And they're the Mr. Rogers movie, Won't You Be My Neighbor, and Three Identical Strangers, which if you haven't seen Three Identical Strangers, you go watch Three Identical Strangers at 8 o'clock when this show's over. I want you to go watch Three Identical Strangers. It is one of the most brilliant documentaries I've ever seen, and I can't recommend it any higher. I can't give that film more of a higher. It's amazing. It's breathtaking. It'll sweep you off your feet in the best and worst ways. It is one of the most fascinating stories ever told in a documentary, and I highly recommend watching it. And the fact that it wasn't even nominated for Best Documentary shows that the Oscars are a sham. But that's neither here nor there. I hit my mic. I do very much enjoy the Oscars, and I will watch it, although there is no host. We're not going to get into that. I also want to talk about other films that I've seen this year. I got a chance to see First Man, the Damien Chazelle directed film starring Ryan Gosling about Neil Armstrong. It is the third film from Damien Chazelle. He also directed Whiplash and La La Land. Two films I'm a big fan of. Personally, Whiplash was my favorite film of 2014. Every time I watch Whiplash, it gets better and better and better. It's if you went to art school, if you have ever been dedicated to something, if you've had a difficult teacher, anything of that sort, that film will speak volumes to you. And it's just an amazing film. And La La Land, I think personally, is a very fun throwback to musicals of the 50s and 60s era. Although I do enjoy First Man, I did like First Man. It's definitely, in my opinion, the weakest of his three films. Not in tales of really, the production design is spot on, the acting is fantastic, the directing is mostly very strong, the effects are good, but the film itself is about Neil Armstrong. It's a very true to life depiction of Neil Armstrong, and I think Neil Armstrong is not a character, as a person, as a character, fits as a lead in a film because he doesn't really draw you in as a character, but everything around him is fascinating, and it really shows the real look at what it was like for these men. So I would say to definitely watch it. If you're interested in Neil Armstrong, if you're interested in the mission to the moon, I almost said Mission to Mars. That's a terrible Gary Sinise movie. I would definitely recommend First Man, although at times it definitely feels like a history lesson. Very different from Whiplash, very different from La La Land, but I would recommend it just purely on a wanting to learn more about the subject. If you want to learn more about the subject, I think this is a great film to do it. It can be very long in the tooth. It can be boring at times, but overall, the production design alone is worth it. It did get nominated for Best Production Design. I think it was the only nomination that it had. I don't know if Claire Foy got nominated for Best Actress, although she did give an amazing performance as Neil Armstrong's wife, whose name escapes me. Let's call her Mrs. Armstrong, because that's her name. I would recommend it. Out of all the films that I've been talking about, it's probably on the lowest on the rung so far. I watched a lot of other films as well, and TV shows. I finally got to finish Season 3 of Daredevil. I can definitely say Season 3 is just as good as Seasons 1 and 2. It's a shame that they ended Daredevil due to weird things going on with Netflix and Marvel and Disney streaming service and things we don't really know a lot about, so people speculate and we just don't know anything yet. I would recommend watching it. I had a lot of fun with it. Some of the action is great. The way they do the story of Bullseye throughout the entire season is spectacular. And Vincent D'Onofrio absolutely destroys it as the Kingpin, as he did in the first season and in a little bit of Season 2 that he's in. Punisher Season 2 just came out. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I instead watched a lot of Dragon Ball Super, because I've been getting back into Dragon Ball as I did as a child, as Dragon Ball Z, because the Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly, came out this weekend. Had a chance to see it. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but if you like Dragon Ball, it's the best movie. Go see it. That's it. So, next, I'm going to go with the big movie that came out this week, Eating This Donut. It's a delicious donut. Not as good as, let's say, high-protein waffles. Stay tuned. But a very good donut, nonetheless. That was code. You'll find out in the future what that meant. But the big film that came out this week, I'm just entertaining myself at this point. The big film I saw this week was Glass. M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. The third film in the Unbreakable trilogy. Unbreakable came out in 2000. Starring Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. It was the second film that M. Night Shyamalan did after Sixth Sense. I think it's technically his third film, but nobody counts the one he did with Rosie O'Donnell from the 90s that no one remembers. Or the fact that M. Night Shyamalan wrote Stuart Little. No one remembers that M. Night Shyamalan wrote Stuart Little. Don't you remember the twist where the mouse was dead the whole time? No, I'm just kidding. That's mean. I like Stuart Little. But Unbreakable was the third film. It was marketed as a thriller originally, but it's really a superhero film. That is, as a film, I did not like when I was younger. Didn't really understand it fully, I think. But it's a film that I think has grown stronger with time. Because it was a film way ahead of its time. If it was a film to come out 5 years ago with the glut of superhero films that are out now, it would have been a perfect, almost anti-superhero movie. Of a depiction of a real-life superheroes. Like a dark, gritty, real world of how real superheroes would be. Of people who think they have special abilities in a real-world setting. The problem was before Unbreakable came out, the only big superhero movies were the last big superhero movies that come out before Unbreakable was Batman and Robin and Blade. So think about going into Unbreakable, having only seen those films. X-Men didn't come out until right after, I think that same summer as Unbreakable came out. The first X-Men came out. So think about in that world, Unbreakable just doesn't work as a movie. But now, with all the superhero movies we have, it's a fantastic superhero film. Split came out 3 years ago. 2016. And it's a film starring James McAvoy about a man with multiple personality, well, DID, which is multiple personality disorder, who kidnaps 3 girls. He has all these weird things, and he's trying to get the Beast, which is one of his personalities, which is this almost supernatural-like being. And at the end of the film, spoilers for Split, at the end of the film, it is revealed that it is in the same universe as Unbreakable, and that it actually was a backdoor sequel to Unbreakable. Also, M. Night Shyamalan has said he originally wrote Split as the entire film was a part of Unbreakable. He wrote it all together. That character, the stuff with the girls, all of that was going to be interconnected. And he realized it was too much, and you would want to just be with the James McAvoy story the whole time, and you'd want to just be with the other story. So they're kind of just pulling the other two. So he made Unbreakable with hopes of being able to make a sequel, which took a lot of time. He went to director jail for a lot of movies that were not good. They were really bad. I love The Happening for the bad movie it is. It's a bad movie, but it's a lot of fun. Lady in the Water is pretty bad. Last Airbender is an abomination. He had to start self-financing movies to get out of movie jail. Blumhouse had to come in and distribute movies, which is a very low-budget horror company, which is how he was able to make Split. And then Split was a major hit, and it made people like him again. It made M. Night Shyamalan relevant, and it made him... It was the most positive people have talked about M. Night Shyamalan since The Sixth Sense came out. So here comes Glass, which is the third film in the series. It's a direct sequel to Split and a direct sequel to Unbreakable. Takes place 3 weeks after Split ended and follows David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable, going after James McAvoy's character from Split. And it's everything you ever wanted for the first 30 minutes. And then it becomes a different film. Because I think what M. Night Shyamalan was trying to do was he had 3 really... And this was, I forget, another reviewer on YouTube did say this, and I completely agree with, and it was an idea I had as well, was that it felt like 3 different ideas that he had. Not 3 different movies. It felt like 3 different ideas that he had that he kind of put together that do work, but not quite in the way that the audience would want it to work. But I understand that that is what he wanted. And a lot of people are talking about the Hey Lady in the Water was a good movie. It's pretty bad. It has fun moments. I can enjoy watching it, but it's pretty bad. But it's not like unwatchably bad. Neither is The Happening. I would say Last Airbender is unwatchably bad. I also really don't like Signs, although some people love Signs and think it's his second best, if not his best movie. But I personally don't really like Signs. I also think Village, other than the last 20 minutes, is pretty unwatchable. But I would rather watch Lady in the Water than I'd watch those movies. But I don't think Lady in the Water is a good movie. But let me go back into it with Glass. Glass, for the first 30 minutes, is the sequel to Unbreakable you always wanted. Then it kind of becomes, and I'm not going to give anything away. I'm not going to, no spoilers, but it becomes a very self-contained film. And I think a big thing was the budget for Glass is, I think, less than half of the budget for Unbreakable. It's bigger than the budget for Split, I believe, but it's half of what the budget for Unbreakable was for a film that came out 19 years ago. So that alone is very fascinating. And I think it shows with the scope of what he wanted to do, kind of had to get tailored to that. And I think when it comes to the ending, again, no spoilers, just my opinion. I'm not going to spoil anything for the movie. I think the ending is what he wanted. I respect his wishes. And overall, I did like the movie. But I think there was so much more that could have been done with the ideas that he created. Not even, you could have done different ideas. But with the ideas he had, you could have done so much. You could have expanded upon those ideas. Maybe it was budgetary issues. I'm not entirely sure. But overall, I do think it was a slight disappointment for me. I know some people that hated it. Some people find it extremely boring. I do find it very interesting. But there are points at times where even I started to doze off at a movie I saw at 8 o'clock at night. Not 10, 11, 12 o'clock. I saw it at 8. And I almost fell asleep a couple times. I know of several people who saw it and fell asleep during it multiple times. I was not one. My friend next to me fell asleep and I yelled at him. I literally looked at him and said, "Are you effing kidding me right now?" Because during a lot of big twists at the end of the movie, and of course there's twists in my Shyamalan movie, my friend turns to me after they all happen and he goes, "What happened?" I was asleep and I just yelled at him. And then I told him that when the movie was over, but I was mad at him. Because how dare you fall asleep? We paid good money. Actually, I bought his ticket. Because he didn't see Unbreakable or Split. And I told him if he watched them, I'd buy his ticket. And then he fell asleep. Kevin. Okay. Overall, I did like it. But I would definitely think it was a disappointment. Especially because I liked Split more than I liked Unbreakable. So I thought he could have went even more. And like I said, I don't agree with all the choices he made, but I respect them and I understand where he was going. But I don't like certain things he did. And I can't talk fully because they're spoilers, but there's things with the ending that I think you could have expanded upon and would have made it a lot stronger. But I understand the idea of what you were trying to do and kind of make it a very closed trilogy. Very closed is the best way to describe it. Zach, it was not Kyle or Khalil. It was my friend Kevin. Kyle hasn't seen it yet. I don't think Khalil's seen it either. They're both... You might have met Kevin once. But I don't expect you to remember him. That's no offense to Kevin. He's just, it's Kevin. But Khalil wouldn't have fallen asleep. Kyle would fall asleep. Kay wouldn't fall asleep. He would stay awake. He's good like that. I haven't been to the movies with him in a while. Last time was when we saw Last Jedi and Snoke appeared and he goes, "Who the F is that?" And I looked at him and I go, "Oh, that's Sinead O'Connor. She don't look too good no more." I love that joke. Okay, so fun fact, my friend Kevin was named after Home Alone. He's a big Indian guy. He was named after Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. It's great. Because my friend Zach said, damn it, he was Home Alone. So that was my review for Glass. I enjoyed watching it. I don't really know if I would watch it. I would watch it again on cable, like on Stars. It's a Stars movie. If you're not dying to see it, I'd say wait till it comes out on digital. But if you really want to see it, go see it. There's nothing really big coming out for the next couple weeks. This week you got a weird King Arthur movie with a kid. Patrick Stewart's going to show up for like 8 minutes. And some weird Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway movie that's was made 3 years ago. And then the week after you have the Lego Movie, Lego Movie 2, which I loved the first Lego Movie. I saw it 4 times in theaters. I adore that film, and I really don't care for this. Not like I don't have any. I'm not like anytime I watch a trailer or an advertisement, I'm not like, oh, I gotta go, which I'll do with movies like Shazam, Captain Marvel. If somebody right now walked in and said, like, you gotta leave right now. You gotta go see Captain Marvel. It's out right now. But you gotta get there in 10 minutes. I'd just run out the door right now. I wouldn't even take the mic off. I wouldn't have enough time. I mean, I gotta go see Captain Marvel. It doesn't come out for 3 months. I gotta go now. But Lego Movie, I'm just like, Anthony, Glass was a jam. Come on. I saw Glass with Anthony, and out of all the people we went with, I definitely think Anthony liked it the most. He thinks it's the best of the trilogy. I don't, honestly. I think it's the weakest of the 3, but I like it. I'm not saying it's bad. I would give it in the high 6, low 7 range. I was a high 7 when I saw it last Thursday, but in the ensuing days, it's kind of fallen with each day to being a high 6, low 7. Still enjoy it, like it, would recommend it, but I don't. It's a tough movie. It's makes you very split. It does, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think Glass is a bad movie. Some people hate it. I don't. I think it could have been better. I wanted it to be better. It could have been better. I was trying to be like a mentor. I was like a mentor-y. I'm gonna eat more donut. What was I going to say? Betamax. Zach says you were about to say Betamax. I don't remember going to say Betamax. I think you mishearing things. You probably broke your phone. Your phone broke. Coffee time. So Dunkin' Donuts has Thin Mint flavored coffee now. Tastes like real Girl Scouts. So I saw a lot more stuff. I watched a lot of stuff for the first time. I saw Mystery Alaska for the first time, which is a film, I don't remember the exact year, but it's in the 90s, starring Russell Crowe, Burt Reynolds, and a whole host of other actors, Hank Azaria, about a fictional town in Alaska called Mystery Alaska, who have a hockey game that's been going on for a very long time. They take it very seriously, and it gets a lot of notoriety thanks to Hank Azaria's character. And the New York Rangers come to play them in Alaska in a fictionalized game. I have a friend who's been telling me to watch it for years, has been mad at me that I haven't seen it, so I finally had a chance to watch it, and I did. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good hockey movie. Didn't think there was enough hockey. Kind of light on the hockey for a hockey movie. Personally, Mighty Ducks Trilogy is better. Enjoy it, like it, good movie. Mighty Ducks better. Oh, Rick with the movie film debate. It's a movie, not a film. Well, if you want to do that, you can say there's a difference between, like, The Godfather is a film, but Tommy Boy is a movie. If you want to do that, yeah, I can get that. But I still think you should call some movies films, regardless of whether or not they're shot digitally or on film. Because that's not really, when somebody says film, it's more, like I said, like the quality of content you could say. Like, you could say, like Godfather is a film. Goodfellas is a film. The Departed is a film. Running Man is a movie. The Predator is a movie. But I would say that. Mystery Alaska, I enjoy, though. I would definitely say I enjoy Mystery Alaska. Should have been more hockey. What else did I see? I saw a lot of stuff this recently. I've been watching Big Mouth a lot. I don't know if you've seen Big Mouth. Big Mouth is Nick Kroll's show with John Mulaney, Jason Mantzoukas. It's an animated show. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because it's very X-rated. But if you like X-rated adult humor, it's all about puberty. It's a adult comedy about puberty. It's hilarious. But if you're offended easily, don't watch it. But if you're not, watch it. It's great. It's hilarious. What else we got? So Rick, now that I have you here, I know you like documentaries. Watch Three Identical Strangers. I'll give it to you on a flash drive. I'll bring it in. It's amazing. It'll blow your socks off. It's only like 90 minutes. It's the best documentary I've ever seen. You should watch it. If you want, watch the trailer. It's better, I think. The more cold you go going into the movie, not knowing as much, the better. But you might know stuff about the subject because a lot of it does take place on the island. But I would recommend watching Three Identical Strangers. You should, when you get free time, which I know you don't have a lot, but when you get some, which I know you got a little bit. There's not much football going on. Nobody wants to watch the Patriots. They're terrible. Tom Brady. But I highly recommend watching Three Identical Strangers. It's a fascinating documentary. I implore everyone in the world to watch Three Identical Strangers. If you want to watch something that'll fascinate you, that's an entirely true-to-life story, watch Three Identical Strangers. I watched the two Fire Festival documentaries came out about the Fire Festival, which is a very fascinating marketing scam, we can call it now. And there's two documentaries. There's a Hulu documentary and a Netflix documentary. They came out within a week of each other. If you've seen anything about it, you've seen footage for the Netflix documentary. And then while they were marketing everything, Hulu just kind of petered out and went, hey, we released it a couple days before, and we have one. And we actually have an interview with the guy who ran everything, who's the villain. That's what they did pretty much. I got a chance to watch the Hulu one. Rick, very funny. I'm watching you so much free time. You might be writing something. I don't know. You might be on the phone with somebody. You're always on the phone. You're always doing things. You're a very important man. But I lost my train of thought. And it's a very large train, so it's amazing that I lost it. But the Fire Festival documentary, there's two of them. I got a chance to watch the Hulu one, not the Netflix one. I'm not going to review it yet because I want to watch the Netflix one before I review it. So maybe next week. Actually, no, 2 weeks from now, because next week we're going to have a very special show. We have Rudy from Rudy's Room on Strong Island is going to be on. And himself, my dad, and I are going to talk graphic novels. So if you're a big fan of graphic novels, definitely tune in next week. It's going to be a fun show. So we're going to talk about a lot of graphic novels. I'm a big fan of comic books, graphic novels. I read a lot. I have a lot that I bought that I haven't read yet. So I kind of stopped buying a lot because they just start piling up. But, yeah, that's going to be a show to watch. But in 2 weeks, I'm going to talk about the Fire Fest. I'm going to talk about Ja Rule and Blink-182 and everything about the Fire Festival. And it's going to be a fun documentary. So why don't you guys should all watch the Fire Festival documentaries, and in 2 weeks, we can discuss it here on the show. Boom, you got homework now. I gave you homework. You got homework now. What else did I watch? I watched Cool Runnings again. It's just great. It's a fun movie. Notice how I haven't mentioned anything I didn't like, because I don't usually talk about things I don't like as much. It's not true. I watched Inherent Vice. Really didn't like it. It was 2.5 hours long. I just kept watching it. People say it's fantastic. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, director of Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood. And it's usually a type of film. It's like a noir-ish comedy, weird Thomas Pynchon novel. Joaquin Phoenix, Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro, Owen Wilson, Reese Witherspoon, like you name it, they in it. Honestly, it's a very shallow, vapid movie, and I just really, I've tried to watch it 5 times, since it came out 5 years ago, and I finally sat down. I'm gonna watch the whole movie. I'm not shutting it off, and I kept wanting to. It's 2.5 hours long. I was waiting for it to get good. There was one good scene, and it was a sex scene, so that should tell you everything about the movie. Because that was the only scene that I actually liked. Everything else was kind of bleh. But yeah, I really like Inherent Vice. I have more movies to talk about. Okay, So here's one. I dropped my battery. That was one. I finally had a chance to watch. Not for the first time. I got to rewatch it. I finally had a chance to rewatch a film that I really like, although I have problems with it. It's Black Mass, which is the Whitey Bulger film from 2015, starring Jack. I almost said Jack Black. That would have been a bad movie. Starring Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger was the number 2 most wanted man in America for a very long time. The only person above him was Osama bin Laden, to show you. He was the basis of Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed, which is my favorite film of all time. And I finally got a chance to re-watch this movie, which I saw in theaters twice. And but I still have the same problems that I had the first time I watched it. Sometimes you'll take a few years before you watch a movie again, and you'll feel completely different about a movie. This time I felt exactly the same. It is a really good movie that feels super shallow at the same time, and just kind of, I'm evil. I'm evil. I'm an evil man. There's no character arc for Johnny Depp's character. And there is kind of a character arc for the other characters, and it's all kind of in a downward trajectory, which is really interesting because I think there are films where most movies, you'll notice this in pretty much every film, it's about a character learning something about themselves or gaining something. There's very few films, it exists, where they go down, where they learn something about themselves that's bad, or they don't learn something, or they become more evil. A movie that does this expertly, I think, is Nightcrawler, with Jake Gyllenhaal. That if you haven't seen it, it was on Netflix. I hope it still is, because I'm going to say go to Netflix to watch it. Nightcrawler is a fantastic movie that will have you, you'll have your skin crawling with it. And it's not like a disgusting movie or like a scary movie. It's about the dark side of the LA news world, of the actual guys who get footage of a car crash right after it happens, or burglary or something like that, and Jake Gyllenhaal just oozing venom almost, not actual venom, but just in his character, and he's just so evil and despicable, but it doesn't start that way. He gets there over time, and it's just the whole film is a fantastic tour de force of Gyllenhaal. And Jake Gyllenhaal, in my opinion, is probably the best actor out there right now. Next to a couple others, when it comes to he's not up and coming anymore. He's there, but every performance that Jake Gyllenhaal puts out is an award-worthy performance, and he very rarely gets nominated. Prisoners is fantastic. Him and Hugh Jackman give an amazing performance. If you haven't seen Prisoners, it came out about 5 years ago. It is that film will tear you up inside emotionally. It is a fantastic movie. The way that the film is shot, the directing, it's Denis Villeneuve, who did Blade Runner 2049, and he did Sicario, and he's just, his sensibilities are so strong, and he makes so much emotion with each shot with Roger Deakins, his cinematographer, who's my favorite cinematographer, who did most Coen Brothers movies, Shawshank. He knows how to bring emotion with every frame. And those are the films. And Gyllenhaal is one of those actors that he can just, you put him together with them, and it's like poetry in motion. It's fantastic. So anything with Jake Gyllenhaal, I'd recommend. But Black Mass is a film that should have all of those qualities, but it doesn't. And it's a director I like. It's Scott Cooper. He did a film called it's spelled Hostiles, but I believe it's pronounced Hostels, which is a Western starring Christian Bale, which came out around this time last year, which is a very good movie. And it's more of a traditional Western. If you like traditional Westerns, go for it. Watch. It's on Netflix. Hostiles, or it might be pronounced Hostels, but spell Hostiles. Another film that I got a chance to watch again, which is a modern day Western, is now on Netflix, Hell or High Water, which was my favorite film of 2016. It was nominated for Best Picture. I watched this movie probably 15 times in the past 2 years. each time I watch it, it gets stronger. It's like the opposite of Black Mass. Each time I watch it, their character arcs are fantastic. It's a film about two brothers who are robbing banks and the cop going after them. And it's Chris Pine and Ben Foster, and Jeff Bridges is the cop who's kind of at the end. He's about to retire, a few weeks before retirement. It's all stuff you've seen before, but not in this way. And they play it up in a very Western-y way, but a modern-day Western, because it all takes place present-day Texas. And the way that that film is done, if you have time to watch a film like that, I highly recommend it. I'm going to start to wind down. I have only a few minutes left, and then I'm going to call it a night. But Three Identical Strangers, Rick. No, Three Identical Strangers is not on Netflix. It just came out recently, but I will give it to you on a flash drive. I'll just slide you a flash drive, like over your desk, like here you go. And you just put it into your computer. And then you can watch it any way you want. You can watch it on a plane. You can watch it on a boat. You can watch it on a float. You can watch it down by the river. I didn't have any more rhyming words. So, I think I only had one more thing I wanted to talk about. And that was that Mike Mussina got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's the greatest thing. And I'm going to keep talking about it for the rest of my life because Mike Mussina is in the Hall of Fame now, and I can. And I've seen Mike Mussina pitch over 10 times in my life, and he won most of those games. It was mostly on Sundays. I don't know, he pitched a lot on Sundays. But I've seen him pitch against almost every team I could think of. I've seen him pitch against the Red Sox. I've seen him pitch against his old team, the Orioles, the Tampa Bay Rays. I've seen him pitch against the Rangers. I've seen him pitch against the Angels. I've seen him pitch against the Phillies, the Mets. He's one of the best pitchers to ever live who never gets credit for it. And I'm so happy he's in the Hall of Fame. And Mariano Rivera gets a lot of credit. Mariano Rivera is one of the reasons why I love baseball. I think growing up, watching Mariano Rivera, knowing if we got to the ninth inning, they bring in Mariano, it's over. The pageantry with him playing Enter Sandman. When you went to a game, the crowd would be electric. You'd play Enter Sandman, everyone would be going nuts. It's the most fun you'd ever have at a baseball game. And it's a shame I'll never be able to capture that again because I was a kid. But I love both of those guys. They're two of my favorite pitchers of all time, and I'm just so happy they're in the Hall of Fame. Also, Edgar Martinez got inducted, first DH to ever get inducted in the Hall of Fame, and Roy Halladay, who posthumously was inducted into the Hall of Fame, who's a pitcher I've gotten to see a couple of times, who was a fantastic baseball player. And he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. But, yeah, that's all I got, guys. Mike Mussina in the Hall of Fame. I love Mariano Rivera, but, like, Mike Mussina is my favorite. Mariano is my favorite pitcher. But my favorite starting pitcher is Mike Mussina. And it's just, I love Mike Mussina. I love Mariano, don't get me wrong. I've seen Mariano pitch probably more than I've seen Mike Mussina because he's a closer, but innings-wise, I've seen more appearances by Mariano probably, but I've seen more innings pitched by Mike Mussina. And they're both amazing. They're both completely different pitchers in style and the way that they are, and the personalities seem kind of similar. But they're two of the greatest pitchers of all time. They're both Yankees. They're both going into the Hall of Fame, and it's amazing. I'm talking more about Mike Mussina because I feel like everyone's going to talk about Mariano, and we should be talking about Mike Mussina as well because he made it in with 76%. But that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Next week, we're going to have a graphic novel show. It's going to be great. We have Rudy from Rudy's Room on. It's going to be a fun show. Thank you, guys. I hope you missed me. I'm back now. I was gone for a minute, but I'm back now. Yeah, I'm back. And we're going to see you next week. Have a great night.